Seitzei said, Achas Ahuva, Yachas Noah. Man will have two wives, Achas Ahuva, Achas Noah, one that is beloved and one that's not. The older Loibonim, Ahuva Vasnoah. And he had children, they gave birth. Ahuva, the beloved one, gave birth to a child, Vasnoah, and the one that was not beloved. Is Lo Yuchal Levakir, es ben Ahuva, al Pnei ben Asua Bechor. He cannot, the husband, if he wants to leave a will, a savoy, that because he favors, his heart is with the Ahuva, the one that's beloved, so he would want that child should get the inheritance. And the Bechor, the firstborn gets 2 shares, Fishbain. So we want him to have that added asset, to have Fishbain, the firstborn. He can't do it. He can't. It has to go to the child of the one that's not beloved. So this is his first, on the first seed. So the question is, if you look at the psukim, you look at the Lashon, exactly the way it's worded. First of all, the question is, because somebody comes along and he wants to change, he doesn't want to follow the mitzvahs of the Torah. He doesn't want that the Bechor should get 2 shares, the one that's not the Bechor should get 2 shares. So the Torah has to trouble itself to add all those psukim, lo yichal levakir, it's ben aguva, that Malav or somebody, this is what he'd like to do. Shteitler, the Torah tells him, we have the mitzvah of Yerush, we know already, that a Bechor gets 2 shares, and one that's not a Bechor doesn't get. Why does the Torah have to go through the trouble to tell us, lo yichal levakir, it's ben aguva, ben Bechor? So with every mitzvah, you'll take every mitzvah there. Somebody will say, he wants us to go steal. So besides the Asher Sadiv L'Shizal, he'll say again, in case you want to put your hand in somebody else's pocket, you can't do it because it's tarnished. First, the Torah told us already that the Bechor gets 2 shares, that's enough. Okay? Sveitens, if you look at also follow exactly the Lashon, the way it's worded. He'll have 2 wives, a beloved one and one that's not beloved. And then they gave birth. Mentions first Ahuva, the one is beloved, and Asnua, and one that's not beloved second. So it would seem, what was the order? Who is the older one? Which is the Bechor? The older one is Ahuva. The first one that was born was the Ahuva, and then and then the Snua. So then the question is, if that's the case, so why Taki Then it does belong to the Ahuva, because the Ahuva was born first. So the Goin says like this, that the case here is the following, that the one that gave birth first, the Ahuva, so that was a 7-month term. So it was born, just to Avraham, it was born before the Snua, the one that's not beloved. But actually, which one was conceived first? The Snua. And the Snua had a full term, was born at 9 months. So we might think, being that Yosef Avraham, we might think that the beloved one was born first, even though it was conceived last. So we might think that he has to get the Bechor. So the Torah says no. The Torah says no. He gets Mishpat HaBechor because he was conceived first. He gets so that's why the Yerush has to go. That's the pshat here in the pasuk. This one was born at 7 months, and this was born at 9 months. in the Dor HaMabul, it brings down. There's two. The Mabul is brought down. Why this structure was brought in the world? So there's two reasons. One is Mishum Gezel, because larceny rampant was Gzele, no respect for somebody else's property. And another time Mishum Gzele, Mishum Gezel, another time Mishum Harayis, because it was immorality. So they asked the Kashi, which one is it? It seems to be a steer. Is it because of immorality, or is it because of Gzele, of not respecting someone else's property? So the Mlei Omer says it's actually both are one. So because being that there was immorality, there was unfaithfulness, so as a result, when the children came along to inherit, they took a share from something that didn't. This was not a rightful Yerush, because this was not their father. The mother had lovers, so they were from a different. This was not their father, so they stole. Shalaikidin. Both were one thing, because it was Arai, so it was Gezel also. So somebody asked, well, so therefore, why should these children be punished? These children are innocent. What did they do? They didn't know. They were in the dark. One basin's aid was to tzaddah. There's a very interesting Gemara in Bava Basra. The Gemara in Bava Basra said like this here, that a father overheard a mother chastising her daughter. She was telling her, she says, you know, your conduct, your promiscuity is public knowledge. She says, you know, she says, you have 10 brothers. You think that they're from your father? Only 9 of them are from lovers, and only one's from your father. So you, if you want to conduct yourself that way, be more discreet. It's not nobody's business that the father overheard it, the Gemara says, and he sat down. He sat down and he made out a will, and in the will he wrote the following: that the inheritance Yerusha should go to his real son. So as a back from the world, he left this world. They opened up the Tzavoy and go decide, go know who is the real son. So Gemara says they went to what's his name? He was a Chochem Gadol. Get the name. When it was a Chochem Gadol and Rabbun. Yeah. Gemara says they went to Rabbun, who was a Chochem Gadol, and they asked him what to do here. How can they determine who is the real son? So Gemara says that Rabbun told all 10 sons they should take swords and they should gather by the caver the grave of the father. and each one should plunge the sword into the caver, the grave, and then the father will respond when the real son puts the sword into the grave. The real son, the father will respond, that's my son. They all gathered by the caver, and one after the other started plunging a sword into the caver. One of them stood aside. He stood aside, and they asked him, why aren't you taking your turn? So he says, I can't do that. He said, how can I desecrate my father's caver? He said, to plunge a sword into the grave? So Rabbi said, that's the real son. He said, because even though, he said, the father didn't know who his children were, but a child has a natural, an inborn feeling who his father is. So in other words, those that came along in the time of the Dor HaMabul, and they put their hand out to take a Yerusha, they knew they were taking Shalai. They knew that this was not their father. They knew that they were stealing. We might say maybe the one that came along was being very he was being smarter than the other ones. He wanted to use that to show that he's more clever than the other sons. No, that can't be, because Gemara says like this here. Gemara says that a mamzer, an illegitimate child, he yarshins from his father. His father was a thief enough to be able to steal somebody else's wife. So he says he yarshin that if anything, it's the other ones. It's the ones that are not, all those that are not really sons. They're the ones that should have come along and should have used this tactic.